So this is my review of the Beach Boys album Shutdown Volume 2. It was released in 1964, produced by Brian Wilson. So you're probably wondering, like, where's Shutdown Volume 1, because you never reviewed that. But I guess like Shutdown Volume 1 was some kind of like compilation album that the Capitol Records released to like capitalize on the Beach Boys' popularity. So that's why I don't have that one, and I've never actually listened to it. But for some strange reason, they named this album Shutdown Volume 2, which I think is kind of a bad name. This album, it's kind of interesting for that, and it's also the first of the Beach Boys albums to have Al Jardine on the cover. It's I think the first one too that David Marks doesn't play on. Al had played on some of the other ones. I think played bass though. But David been on, I think, everything up till here. So that's I think he quit because he didn't get along with Murray Wilson. At least that's what I understand. So there's a change in the band's rhythm guitar position for this album, and I think that I've always kind of had a higher opinion of this album than what it really deserves. And I think that's probably because it's paired with Surfer Girl. So a lot of times I would just listen to this CD and just listen to it all the way through, because I mean both these albums are pretty short. Still, you know, early Beach Boys, just really pretty short albums. But they're putting out like a ton of albums, which I think is one of the things that hurts this album a little bit. I feel like, as I think they were kind of just running out of ideas, because I think at this point, from what I understand, they were just like touring a whole lot also, and so, you know, doing that and then having to put out, like, I don't know how many albums they put out in a year, I can't remember, but just a ton of albums. So like they had to have been really busy, and I feel like that it kind of shows on this album. Like, it's got some really good stuff, and then it's got some other stuff that's kind of mediocre. The first song on it, Fun Fun Fun, is, you know, kind of a classic song. Definitely a song that I knew before I was even really that familiar with the Beach Boys. It's a great opener, great song. I really like the vocal for Mike on it, actually. I think he does a really good lead, and Brian's parts are really great too. Just great song, sounds great. I think that like comparing this song to like Surfin' Safari, it's really crazy how much they had improved. Like Brian, you know, taking over now and being the producer, like their sound has improved so much from that early album, and I think it's really impressive. The second song, Don't Worry Baby, I think is another song that's kind of a classic. It's written by Brian and Roger Christian. It's another one that has just a great vocal from Brian. I think really amazing vocal, one of my favorites that he ever did. But yeah, just a great song. I think it was Keith Moon's favorite song, actually, which he had good taste. The third song, In the Parking Lot, another Brian and Roger Christian song. And this one is kind of a faster, more upbeat song. And it's not as impressive of a song, though, I don't think, at all, really. But I mean, I enjoy it just because I enjoy the sound of the band, and just in general, so I don't have any problem with it. But it's just kind of a lesser track after these first two great tracks. The fourth one isn't even really a song. Cassius Love vs. Sonny Wilson. It's kind of just this weird comedy bit. And it's kind of not that funny. This was, I think, only like the second or third time I've ever listened to it, really. I mean, it's kind of okay to hear every once in a while. It is kind of funny, like hearing Mike and Brian imitate each other's voices. That's a little bit entertaining. But it's not really that funny other than that. So kind of something that I usually skip. The sixth song, This Carved Mine, song by Brian and Mike. This one's the Dennis vocal on the album, and actually one of my favorite songs on the album. I know, like, not a song that I think a lot of people like, and I don't think it's like that. I mean, it's kind of a simple song, but I don't know. I think it's really catchy, and I really like Dennis's vocal. I think he gives like a really enthusiastic kind of vocal, and just does a really good job. And I really like this like kind of era of Dennis's voice because it was before it got like really scratchy like it would later and like really rough. Which not that I think that he still was a great singer then, but I think he had a cool voice in this earlier age before his voice kind of deteriorated a little bit. The seventh song, "Why Do Fools Fall in Love," is a cover, and it's kind of a song that shows like what the band's going to go on to do with like Pet Sounds and stuff, or what Brian's going to go on to do with the session musicians and stuff. I think this one's like pretty much mostly the Wrecking Crew playing. At least that's what I understand, and it sounds like them. It doesn't sound like the band playing, but I like it. I think it's pretty good. And like I said, definitely kind of shows what's going to start happening with the band's sound. The eighth song, "Pom Pom Playgirl," Brian and Gary Usher song, and it's kind of just like one of their cheesy school songs. Not one of my favorite songs on the album, but since I like the band's sound, I don't mind it. The ninth song, "Keeping an Eye on Summer," by Brian and Bob Norberg. I like this one a lot, actually. It's kind of a nice slow song. It's got some good vocals on it. I think it's a good song. The ninth song, "Shut Down Part 2," is an instrumental written by Carl. And it's kind of okay. Like, it's not like super memorable or anything, but I kind of like some of the guitar parts on it. It's not bad. The 10th song, "Louie Louie," is a cover. It's probably like my favorite song, or not favorite song, my least favorite song on the album. Definitely my least favorite thing on the album, besides the little like comedy bit. Definitely one that I skipped a lot, which is weird because I usually don't skip that many songs on Beach Boys albums. Really, any that I can think of other than this, I guess. Off the top of my head, though, I guess like I don't know. Later on, when I get into some of the other albums, I might remember more. But yeah, I think it's the loud kind of like that loud like da 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 like vocal or whatever singing that goes on. It's just like really loud and kind of, I don't know, I find it kind of irritating. And it kind of ruins the song for me. But the rest of the parts where that's not so prominent like aren't that bad, and it's got some like okay stuff on it, but not one of my favorite songs. Then the 11th final track, "Denny's Drums," is kind of a Dennis Wilson drum solo. And I mean, Dennis wasn't like the best drummer. I feel like at this point he was still probably even pretty new to it, like comparatively to probably a lot of people. But I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. I'm just kind of a fan of his in general, of his singing, of his songwriting. And I do like the way he plays when he does play on the band's songs, which, like I said, I think most of the first couple albums is him, even though there are instances where it's not. But I like hearing him play because, technically he was the drummer of the band, and I think it's cool when he gets to play his own stuff. So I think it's kind of cool that they let him have a little solo. I mean, I'm not a drummer. I know it's probably not impressive at all, but I just think it's cool to hear him play. So kind of a track that I like, but everybody else probably skip it. So the album as a whole, I give it like a 3 out of 5 probably, which like I said is like kind of mediocre but still kind of good, I guess. I think it's just an album that kind of was maybe hurt by like them not having more time to just work on stuff, because they clearly, I think in terms of like production and like they were definitely moving forward like in that department. I feel like the production on it sounds so much better than the first couple albums, and they were writing stuff like Fun 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 and Don't Worry Baby at this point, so they were capable of writing some really great songs. It's just some lesser songs were making it on the album because I feel like they just didn't have enough time to, I don't know, write enough material, or maybe they just had to put out too much, and should have, you know, been able to have a little bit more time to spend in between albums working on material. But kind of an album that I think my opinion of's gone down a little bit listening to it just on its own, because I think this was actually like the first time, or at least one of the first times I've ever listened to it without listening to Surfer Girl before it. So yeah, kind of one of the weaker albums so far, but I still recommend checking it out at some point if you've checked out better Beach Boys albums.